What I think you need to do is just to calm down. Grandfather would not have left this job to you if he thought you could not do it. What could there be, like 5 people there? I think you just need to take a long, deep breath and calm down. Oh my. There are a lot of you here tonight. Are you all here for the stable tour? Oh my, okay, you'll have to forgive me. This is my first time. I was not expecting so many people. I'm a little nervous. I wrote some notes though. I left them at home. Oh, this is embarrassing. Okay, let me think of my words. Welcome to my grandfather's stable. It was a source of pride and joy for him. It was more than a pride and joy, though. You should have seen him when he would open the door, smell the smells of the animals in the hay, hear their sounds, feel the warmth of their bodies. On his face, you could tell he was taken back to that moment. It was as if the stable became a place of worship for him. Oh, come in. The first thing to take note of is this window at the back wall, right over here. That is for ventilation and to give a good view of the shepherd's fields. Also, my grandfather was a very religious man and wanted to be able to see the stars. The stars that God showed Abraham all those years ago. Stars of a promise of blessings to our people. Now, if he thought you did not know enough about our people, he would give you a long history going from Abraham to present day. I will not be doing that tonight. Come in, come farther. Here in the middle of the stable, you will find most of the animals. And grandfather would spend a lot of time here telling you everything you never wanted to know about each animal, the business deal that he made to get each animal. And then he would take a long journey and take you with him on starting a business when he was a young man and how hard he had to work to make it a success. I sat there watching him do this, knowing what he was doing. He knew that this is not why you came to see his stable, but he was having fun with you. He loved to see how long he could talk until your eyes glazed with boredom, until he finally took you to the main event, which I will do now. Right over here, under the window, we have the manger. And yes, I mean the manger. He would point to it and say, "This is where the King of Kings laid his head for the first time." I was so busy that day, I had no time to clean my stable. It was a mess. But, he made it beautiful. Grandfather never made a big deal about being so unprepared for such a guest, because he was not the only one unprepared. Mary told him later that she was not prepared when God called her. Joseph freely admitted he was not ready for the task at hand. And do we really think those shepherds thought they would be the first ones to know Messiah had come? No. We were all unprepared. You would think a people who had been learning about Messiah our whole lives would do a better job, but honestly, I think a lot of us had lost our hope that he would come. You might think that these are ordinary stories, boring even. Happy old man shows his stable off to people, but to my family, these are hardly ordinary things. Because you see, before this happened, my grandfather had a reputation, and it was not a nice one. He was a good businessman, but he was not kind. He had no compassion in his heart, even though he was a religious man. Did not give him a soft heart. No, he was harsh and cruel, and goodness knows, if you got a no from him, you would not be changing that to a yes. So can you imagine the surprise when he opened the door and saw the weary travelers there? With a no on his tongue, he looked them in the eyes and said, "Yes, I have my stable." And then that night, he decided to go check on them. He had never done that before. He said he just stood in the doorway and stared at them as they held their brand new baby. And all of a sudden, out the window, heaven itself broke loose. He said that the brightest light he had ever seen hovered over the fields. Even from this distance, he said it almost blinded him. Can you imagine that? Just as fast as it was there, it vanished. And his eyes fell back to the baby, and he said in that moment, he knew why and to whom he had said yes. And he was changed forever. You see, there comes a time in all of our lives that God calls to us. What do you think you will say? Grandfather always ended his tours like this. When God called Abraham, he said yes. When God called Moses, he said yes. When God called Mary and Joseph, they said yes. And thanks be to God, when God called an angry old innkeeper, he said yes too. So, are you feeling God call you tonight? Are you feeling a little unprepared? That's okay. You are among good company. Do you feel like your life is a mess? You're probably right. But he can make it beautiful. Don't leave my stable tonight without meeting your Messiah. Take all the time you need. After all, you are in a place of worship.